Hello, sexies. Welcome back. Welcome to Flirting with Danger. And I am your host, the gracious Jason Danger. And this video is going to be about what questions to ask yourself, not them, yourself. In fact, you should probably not ask directly anyway, because then they're probably not going to give you a truthful answer when you're first meeting somebody. This is to help you navigate, specifically for you guys out there. Although these wouldn't be bad questions to ask. Some of them wouldn't be bad questions to ask when trying to filter through the men that you want to date, ladies. But this is more for the gentlemen out there. 10 questions you should be asking yourselves to help filter out, the duds from the studs if you're a lady, and the girls that you'd want to consider for more than just a one-night endeavor, or maybe a two-night endeavor. I'm not here to judge you. So let's get into it, shall we? All right, so let's go. We're going to go 10 in a row pretty quickly. All right, and then we're going to explain each one. Please stand by. All right. Number one, is she an asset or a liability to your life? And I mean that just like with monetary assets. Is it adding or is it taking away? It's very simple. Is this woman adding something to my life? Or this person, if you're a woman, is adding something to my life? Or are they taking away? Is she a constant source of stress, high maintenance behavior? We can talk about that in another video. Generally speaking, am I better off for having her in my life, or is this taking away? Very simple. And in some cases, it might be literally she is a liability monetarily. Also would be considered general liability in that case. So take those things into consideration. Now, you may not know these things right away, but I do have a feeling that you're going to know if she's a liability pretty quickly. It's hard to hide that. She's very high maintenance up front, even if it's like small little things at the beginning when she should be putting forth her best effort, and she should be having her representative there to help her put that best foot forward. Then she's probably going to be high maintenance all the way through, and therefore liability. Number two. Well, this is kind of like number one. This is like 1B, really. Does she add stress to my life, or does she help take it away? And what I mean by that is, one of my buddies said this the best. Now, it doesn't have to be about marriage. He used it in the context of marriage, but it could easily be about long-term relationships. It could just be about somebody that you want, are questioning whether you want to invest your time and effort into at any level. And he said, Jason, I will get married. Or again, it could be those other contexts. I will get married when that woman, or I find a woman that takes stress away from my life, doesn't add to it. And I thought, isn't that a super easy way to filter out? Because it's so basic and so simple that I think it gets overlooked. I was like, that is really a good criteria. I will decide to spend time with somebody that takes stress away. And for the guys out there, I know you know what that means. All of us have had those women. There seem to be a lot of them out there nowadays that are just adding stress, expectations, high maintenance behaviors, energy takers, not energy givers. You know them right away. You know who those women are. And ladies, you know who those guys are. Are they adding stress? Or are they taking away? Now, everyone's going to add some stress at certain times because nobody's perfect and it's difficult. But in general, are they giving thing or are they taking thing away? Simple one. Number three, is she a good person with good intentions? Now, why does this matter? Because if she's a good person, now this is a tough one. This is a tough one to navigate here. You're going to have to ask yourself a lot of questions and do a lot of filtering and take her through a lot of different experiences to know that. You're not going to know that up front. Now, if you're a more experienced gentleman, it might take you a little bit less time to figure that out, right? You have a pretty good bullshit sensor, right? That works really well. And in those cases, it's going to behoove you to make that decision sooner rather than later. But I will say this, from my personal experience, if I feel that a woman has good intentions and is a good person, then I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt when I might have nixed another girl earlier, right? Because people make mistakes, right? And if I think she had good intentions, but she just can't help herself, for example, it's just in her nature, I might give her a little more time to figure that out, right? To navigate that, figure it out, and create a solution and get better, right? We all need that. But if she's someone I feel like she's not rock solid in the character department, we might need to get rid of her early or put her in a different category. She's in the friends with benefits category or whatever. But if you're spending a lot of time, you don't have time to be spending on people of low quality, then, next. Number 4, does she have similar life goals or values, right? I mean, did I have that next? Life goals, values. Look, if you're just fucking around having a good time, does she need to have all the same values as you? No, probably not. Because if all you want to do is fuck around, you might find if she has the same values, you might end up getting in a relationship with her. So that may not be the best route for you. But does she have similar life goals? And I don't mean, maybe I shouldn't say goals. I should probably say, does she have a similar life philosophy? Does she view life the same way that you do? Right? For me, for example, somebody takes life too seriously, and it's always this life or death scenario, and they're always stressed out over things that maybe if they had more perspective, they wouldn't be stressed out about. Like small things, right? Life is hard enough. Relationships are hard enough and challenging enough. We don't have to do anything extra to add more difficulty to it, right? They're inherently challenging. So, you want somebody that's kind of light. At least for me, I want somebody that's pretty light. Doesn't take things so seriously, can look over small flaws and things like that. And, generally find humor in funny situations, right? I like to look at life as if I'm a third party bystander, like an alien, and I'm looking at like what's going on in society and looking on it, and even maybe my life from the outside as if we're a movie, and saying to myself, isn't this shit funny? This is pretty hilarious. Or finding the interesting components and living life through a certain philosophy. You share a certain philosophy with someone. My philosophy tends to be the La Dolce Vita philosophy, which is what this channel is obviously established on. Living life is art, self-cultivation, self-evolution, adding layers to yourself through cool and interesting experiences, connecting with people, just general evolution. And again, living life's art, choosing to live creatively, making choices in your life purposely towards your purpose, goal chasing, dream chasing, I should really say. All these things are La Dolce Vita. Creating your ultimate self, choosing your own adventure, all the stuff we always talk about. Does she have any of those philosophies? Like, that's what I would look at, right? If she's a paint by numbers type of person, probably not going to jive with me, right? So, those are sort of things you want to look for you. Good one. Number 5, how does she handle stress and conflict? Also something you're probably not going to know right away, right? But if she can't handle the small hiccups and roadblocks and your small mistakes and flaws, or just little inconveniences, and she can't laugh at those occasionally, or makes mountains out of molehills, she's not be able to handle bigger things, like when you really screw up. And I screw up a lot, so I need some get out free. I need a whole packet, a pamphlet of nothing but get out of jail free cards. And if she's not willing to distribute those, then when you fight, when you have disagreements, does she hold a grudge? Is it constantly being bought up? Does she get better over time? Because a lot of times you start off and it's a little bit rocky because you're still trying to figure out each other's way of handling conflict or quarrels or whatever. But if she gets better over time because she's learning you and she's learning what to give and what to take and vice versa, then you can do it. That's why a lot of those things take time. But you must be asking yourself the question. Number 6, what's her family like and what's her relationship with her dad? The male figure that she has grown up with, or at least has established how all other guys will be compared to from that point forward, from her childhood on. You don't escape childhood, gentlemen. If a woman has had a bad relationship with her father or has been traumatized in any way by her family, it's going to have some lasting impact on her. What that is and at what intensity, I don't know, but that's for you to decide. But I can tell you it's not going to be easy, and you have to really ask yourself. That's a red flag up front. What's her relationship with her family? What do they like? What are their value systems? How do they treat you? Because there's some assholes out there. Trust me, I've dealt with them. And what is the dynamic? Where does she fit into that dynamic? And that's going to inform you how you're going to be treated and what you're going to be dealing with moving forward. If it's one of those situations to where the family does not treat you respectfully, they don't value you or appreciate the way that you treat their daughter or whatever, or vice versa. If it's a they don't their family, the guy's family doesn't treat you, ladies, like they should be. You have to ask yourself this question. I mean, is it worth it? If the woman is willing to make that separation, I'm never going to ask a woman to choose between me and her family, because I don't believe that's right. I'm never going to do that. But I will say that she needs to create a barrier. She needs to create boundaries. And I don't want to be in a situation where I have to feel uncomfortable because of their influence on my relationship. Like if their influence, like if the stress they're putting on their daughter about me or just about us in general is causing issues in a relationship, that's a boundary of mine. No. Again, relationships are complicated enough inherently. I don't need additional challenges. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. All right, number 7. Siblings, birth order, older sisters, older brothers. All right, this is a big one. All right, man. Here's the thing. I have dated quite a few ladies, and I will tell you that one of the key indications of whether you're going to enjoy your relationship or not, how bearable it's going to be, how enjoyable it's going to be, how fulfilling and satisfying it inevitably is going to be predicated largely by, this is going to sound totally stupid, but where she is in her family. Birth order matters. And also, why is this thing unfocused? I do apologize. Technical difficulties. Okay. Do they have? Let me just give you an example. I've had a lot of women, for whatever reason, I seem to find myself in relationships with women that have older sisters. If they're really cool older sisters, which for whatever reason, I haven't found very many of them, at least the dynamic between the older sister and the younger sister. Usually the older sister has historically treated the younger sister like shit. I know that's not often the case, but I seem to find those ones. I noticed that there's a competitiveness that comes from the older sister to the younger sister. There's like a pettiness, a jealousy, and this doesn't happen just one time. I've noticed this over and over again. And the younger sister is constantly on defense and seems to always be on the coattail of the older sister, like their opinion really matters, like maybe a little bit too much, right? And the older sister, for whatever reason, there's these petty jealousies from childhood or what, I don't know what it is. Now, but in a couple of these different cases, the girl I was dating was much more attractive than and I mean that not only just physically, but personality-wise also, than the older one. And that might have something to do with this jealousy or pettiness, but it's very childish behavior. If you see this, run like the wind. It's not worth it, because they're going to make your life an unnecessary hell. I know that I've been in situations where, everything was going great in my relationship. We were getting along, everything's going great. And then you spend a couple of days with the older sister, and suddenly they're questioning the relationship. And then you have stress in the relationship, and it sends the relationship spiraling for months, sometimes years, if you're stupid enough to stay in it. All right. So it's just simply not worth it. If you know that right off the bat, get the fuck out. It's just not worth it. Find a woman with older brothers or an older sister that's supportive and mature. Usually I find my experiences, if they have older brothers, they tend to respect men more. They tend to be more empathetic to men's feelings, to what men go through as well, because they see their brothers go through. And if they have a good relationship with a brother, you know, they would understand what it's like because they saw their brother going through similar situations with women or life, you know. So they're going to be more empathetic to how guys feel and how they behave. Number 8, is she introverted or is she extroverted? Okay, remember, all the introversion or extroverted tends to mean is it takes more to stimulate them, right? More dopamine and to excite them. One of my college professors told me, if you want to be happy in life, you marry an extrovert. I'm sorry, you marry an introvert, right? Which means it takes probably going to be less high maintenance, right? An extrovert, I have dated quite a few extroverts, and they they do take more to be happy, and there tends to be more challenges, and there tends to be more outside influences, if you will, okay, to your relationship. They can tend to be more exciting. So my whole thing is, generally speaking, there are situations to where there are exceptions, but generally speaking, for a good time, the extroverts are wonderful, right? Long term, introverts tend to be a situation, creates a situation that's more manageable. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, that's a very general rule, but generally speaking, I'm pretty confident in saying that. And I've got a college professor in psychology and my own personal battlefield expertise to support that. Number 9, has she cheated on her partners before? And what's her body count? Now, I expect you to get an accurate answer of these very easily? No, certainly not. However, the best way to do this is to find out early on in the relationship before you have any sort of emotions attached, and she has no emotions attached, and she's trying to put her best foot forward, and you're joking around, and she thinks she's impressing you by giving you this information. You can kind of egg it out of her, and she tells you, has she ever cheated on that? Have you ever cheated on your girlfriends? Oh yeah, whatever that conversation may look like. But if you find out she's cheated before, now I've had women tell me that they've never cheated before in their life, and they were literally the most untrustworthy of people that I've dated. So that doesn't necessarily mean anything they tell you that. But if you know they've been promiscuous in the past, you can sort of tell by their behaviors or their cavalier attitudes towards sex or multiple partners, whatever. There's a pretty good bet that history is a strong indication of what you're going to be dealing with moving forward. And, that's the truth. Like that or not, that's really what it is. Can they change? Sure. Will they change? Yeah. I mean, you can't take it personally. You got to take yourself out of it, the emotions out of it. Are they probably going to cheat on me too? I mean, I consider myself pretty great. But if they cheated on other guys in the past, they're probably going to cheat on me too. You can't take it personally. So again, you put them in all right, maybe the good times category, probably going to be an extrovert quite a bit, although not necessarily. What's her body count? They're not going to be honest with you about this one. You have to add about at least 10 to 20% of what they are willing to accept. Now, if they tell you 50, you're in trouble because that means it's like 75 or something. I mean, that is not a good ratio for long term. Now, again, short term, all good. If you don't care, then I guess it doesn't matter. But I think most guys probably do. If they and of course that matters how old they are. If there's someone who's like 50, it's going to be different than say, someone who is 21. You may not know, especially if you're a young guy. Well, what's a lot? I don't know. Well, let me give you an idea. All right, for me, this is me personally, and this is if I were looking for somebody that I'd want to date, not necessarily just fuck around with, right? Because in those cases, it matters less, right? All right, because again, for guys, we care about loyalty a lot, right? And a reason for that biologically is because in the olden days, we didn't have paternity DNA testing, right? We don't know if that's our baby or not. But to spend the next how many years of our life taking care of a baby that's not ours, right? Kind of fucked up. So, we need, the only thing we can do is if that girl is loyal to us and she's only with us and she's only fucking around with us, that's the only way I can really guarantee that we're not doing that. Now, we don't think of that very often in that way biologically, but that's why jealousy occurs. That's one of the reasons biologically why that happens. And one of the reasons why it matters so much for loyalty. So even the smallest sense, ladies, that you're not loyal, and it doesn't have to be that you cheat on him. It could be you disrespect him in public. It could be that you put another guy in front of him in some way, shape, or form. It could be that, you know, whatever, right? Disrespect, lack of loyalty in any way, shape, or form, even small indicators could present a problematic indication, right? Problematic thing in the future where, okay, we can't trust this girl in the small things. How are we going to trust in the big things? So if her count is, oh man, let's say she's 21. I personally, if a girl's in her low 20s now, if she's not had very many boyfriends, by the time she gets to say 25, now if she's had like 1 or 2 long-term relationships, well, that would explain it, right? So maybe she's had sex with 2 or 3 guys. That would be really acceptable, right? That'd be good. I mean, every guy wants like a virgin, right? Maybe not a virgin, but as low as possible. Most guys want that. That being said, it's not always realistic, but at a young age, I don't want, I mean, for a long term, if a girl's been with like, especially if they haven't had many boyfriends and they've had sex with a lot of different dudes, right? Like, let's say they're 25 and they've only had like one relationship, but that relationship was only like a year long or something, right? So and then she had sex with like 20 guys. I don't really like that. That's not a good sign. Not judging her. I'm just saying it's not a good sign. Pay attention. If she's like, 30, 40, I mean, that's subjective to me. I'd still want that to be somewhere below 25. I know maybe that sounds crazy, but again, it all depends on how many guys she dated. If she's dated a lot of different dudes, again, I'm going, why didn't any of these guys stick? Right? You have to ask yourself that question, why? You're going to find out why eventually. You might as well know as soon as possible. Right? She's either going to tell you, or you're going to find out through her behaviors over time. You're like, that's why this girl is not being able to. Because remember, most girls don't want a string of a bunch of boyfriends. They don't. That's not their natural inclination. Most women, healthy, mature, biologically sound women, usually are going to, we want a variety and we want to have sex with a lot of different women and all that stuff. We're programmed to do that. Women are programmed, of course, they like variety and stuff too, to some degree. But generally speaking, the women I've ever met aren't looking for just hookups. They're looking for hookups in the course of finding that one, right? So if they've had a bunch of different boyfriends and they haven't stuck around and they've had sex with a bunch of different dudes during that time, I'm just saying it's a red flag. Keep that in mind. Last one, social media, phone addiction, phone use, cell phone use, over the top. Usually this means, and again, I mean, it's going to be hard to find, especially a woman under 30 nowadays, that is not somewhat addicted to their cell phone and to social media. It's a sad state of affairs, but it's true. But I will tell you this. Don't say I didn't warn you. If the girl is tied to her phone and she can't have dinner with you or have a conversation with you without being interrupted, that phone is constantly going off. She has to check it before anything else. It goes off. She's got to look. If she is constantly posting on social media and it has nothing to do with her job, it's, ass pictures in the bathroom stall at some gym. She's doing squats with her vagina right in the frame, right as she's at the gym. These sort of things I see all the time. If she's, has a 2-minute TikTok video of her dancing every day and she's not making any money off of it, it's just her. Okay, fun is fun. It's all good. And that's fine. But I know what category I'm going to put that girl in. I might still hang out with her. She might be a cool person. I might think she is a really cool girl to hang out with and on a multitude of levels. But it's going to be very hard for me to take that seriously as a long term because there goes the weird trust thing. What's the point for a guy nowadays in being in a relationship with all the variety going around, with all these women just giving it away, if the girl that you're with is going to give it away to everybody else? As every other guy has seen you naked. What is special in it for me? What am I getting exactly that they're not getting? Right? So, And that need for attention tells you something. Anything like that that shows that they need attention. That's a high maintenance behavior. We'll talk about that in another video. High maintenance behaviors, but that need for attention and external approval is never a good thing. It's not a good thing for guys either. Let's be honest. But in terms of the dynamics between men and women, if a woman is doing it, it tells you a little bit about what occupies her bandwidth. I just do it for fun. I can do it. And look, she's been told by society and all her friends and nowadays that you can have your cake and eat it too. You can do X, Y, and Z. And then she can't figure out why no guy wants to date her long term, why they have sex with her and they go away. Right. And so you can't tell them that, because if you tell them that, they get really bent out of shape emotionally. They look at you as some misogynist pig and, whatever. So you can't tell them that. But ladies, if you're listening, this is one of the reasons why you go on all these dates and these guys seem to like you and then just disappear. That's one of the reasons why that happens, because guys see that you're not a good long-term investment. I can do whatever I want with my body and this and that. Yes, you can. You can. But we're not going to want to date you long-term because there's too many other guys that are satellite orbiting, threats. And there's not, people don't want to, remember, we don't want more stress. Do you take stress away or do you give stress? That's certainly not going to take stress away. No guy wants to argue about that all the time. And if a woman is constantly saying you're insecure because you can't handle it, we've all dated those type of girls and they are nightmares. Okay. If they can't understand why that would be troublesome to a relationship, then they're not mature enough to handle one. So don't get into it. It's just not worth it. Keep them at, I'll have fun with this girl category, and that's it. If she learns, if she understands that that's probably not a really good, despite what society's telling me, I'd be able to think for myself and say, that's not going to make my partner very comfortable. Now, if the partner doesn't mind, if you, gentlemen, do not mind, if it doesn't bother you, probably because you're off doing your own thing, more power to you. But if it does bother you and you can't have a conversation about it and she doesn't quit it and she gets very defensive and she starts putting it on you, you're insecure, you're this, you're that. Red flag. You have a hard time beating that one out. It's not really worth the effort, right? Find one that's already knows that gets it, right? She doesn't get that, then that's not the first hurdle you're going to run into with that. That's an uphill battle because she's going to be with the society we have now, she's going to be reaffirmed every single day that she's right and you're wrong. Okay. And then she's not going to give a shit. And she's going to be looking at you, going, it's your fault. You have to have more confidence. Your insecurities. You're so jealous. All right. Well, hey, look, and sometimes that is the truth, gentlemen. Is it too much? Okay. But I will tell you from personal experience and from witnessing this, there are a lot of women out there that mistake a guy's jealousy and they can't understand why they end up single when they're 40, or they have guys that stick around for short periods of time, but then they leave. Okay. So ladies, that could be you. If that's you, it could be something like that. There's a lot of times, whether it's that issue or another one, where guys will not tell you because you're so used to being told what you want to hear because guys want to sleep with you. Or people don't want to hurt your feelings, or society says that if you say anything, then you're a complete asshole, or you're a creep, or you're a misogynist, or you're mansplaining, or whatever. There's so many things nowadays I can't keep up. But so the guys aren't really going to tell you the truth. What they're going to do is you're going to find out by the decisions they make. And I see a lot of women nowadays going, I don't understand. Like he just ghosted me, or we were hanging out, now he's not interested anymore, or now he's coming back because he sees you. Just like if you friend zoned a guy, he put you in the short-term, short fun category, but never going to commit to you because you haven't proven loyalty. You haven't proven respect. Keyword, respect. If you're disrespecting a man, if it's a man of value now, if he doesn't have any value and you're steamrolling him, you're not going to want him anyway. But if it's a man of value with a backbone, most men are not going to be okay with that. Now, as they get older and they care less and less and less, they've been through 1,000 relationships. At some level, they're just like, I don't even give a shit. Do whatever you want to do. Right? Is that good, though? I don't know. All right. Those are the top 10. Adhere. Abide. Listen. I teach you, learn. All right. Till next time. Danger out. Remember to live with the DOLCE VITA. live dangerously, not too dangerously. Ciao.